Coffee. The elixir more than 1 billion people enjoy around the world every day. Everyone has their favorite brew, but what makes one coffee different from another? The answer is aroma, and here's how we found out. This is me. I was invited to share a special journey with my newest friends, Ajit Matthew George and Jim Donahue, and David Penzak, creator of Smell the Coffee, a brand new technology built around aroma. The four of us decided to travel to Panama, experience the sights and sounds of local culture, and find the answers we need to understand coffee flavors and aromas. We met a number of fantastic and inspiring people, sharing with us their art and their talents. One of whom is Rich Lipner, an organic coffee farmer and owner of Cafés de la Luna in the small town of Boquete. If there's anyone who can tell us about coffee, it's him. Our first day began in Finca dos Jefes, Rich's coffee farm. We were fortunate enough to join a tour happening that day, where Rich explained a lot of the coffee growing process. He started by explaining the intricacies of Panamanian organic coffee and how the coffee plant is harvested. The coffee cherries become dark red and are picked when they're ripest. Then, all the cherries are laid out on drying beds to lose moisture for 23 days of sunshine, going from 55 to 10% water content. After the cherries are dried, they are peeled and then roasted in the farm's roaster.
Hallelujah. A book has been chosen. Right.
But when it's all said and done, where does the aroma come in? We decided to ask Rich for answers.
So David, welcome. We'll talk a little bit about aroma and what happens to coffee as you roast it, and kind of the importance of aroma in coffee. When we evaluate coffee and we attach value to the qualities of the coffee, aroma is a very big deal in what happens. And for a lot of people, and I guess I'm kind of one of those people, the aroma part is almost as important as the taste part. It's what you smell is what you taste, and when you get those incredible aromas coming out at you, it really enhances your entire coffee experience. So a little bit about coffee and coffee roasting. If you look at the spectrum here of coffee, this is actually the same coffee. It all came out of the same bag of green beans like this. It's been roasted to 3 different temperatures. We were pretty simple. It was a light, a medium, and a dark roast. But if you smell these 3 coffees, you'll get very distinctive aromas coming from the 3 coffees. Part of it's the chemical process that takes place in the roasting itself. It's really what you have in the lightest roast is the most inherent flavor, what's actually happening in the growing of the coffee. When you move into different degrees of roast, you start to mute those aromas a little bit and mute the flavors a little bit as well. If you go too far on the dark spectrum, it smells burnt. We don't particularly like burnt coffees. We share a couple of the aromas that you might associate with coffee. We have things like spicy, pepper, and these have to do with the dry distillation process. Maple syrup, malt, roasted coffee, go figure. All of these things, and when you're smelling coffee, you can get all of those. And this and a lot more.
How much of these can be varied by how you roast it versus the variety of the bean and climate in which it's grown?
A lot, a real lot. In terms of coffee and quality of coffee, and to a certain extent the aromas that come from that coffee, we're talking about that combination of the soil, of the terroir, of the soil, of the altitude, and of the microclimate. Different varieties of coffee do better in different combinations of these 3 things. Aromas of coffee, pretty interesting in aromas of coffee. Some varieties have pretty distinct aromas that go along with it. If they're properly grown, if they're properly processing of coffee, real big deal in coffee processing. If you process it in the wash method, you actually lose some of the aromas. If you're processing on the drying beds and you have not a great drying season, you can come up with some tainted aromas of coffee. And they flow all the way through. When you get them into the roaster, you're going to another level of changing aromas and what you're doing. Chemical changes that take place during the roasting. I like to equate coffee roasting on a very simplistic basis. Taking a bean, a green coffee bean, putting it into a roaster, and the heat begins to release the sugar.
Bring it out?
Yeah, bring it out. You take a look at the beans. They haven't changed much color yet, but they've really changed aroma. If you smell these beans now, and remember what they smelled like in the box there? They smell kind of grassy or grain-like. Now they should be smelling a little bit different, I'm thinking. Anything?
A little burlappy.
Burlappy. I usually, toast or wood burning, or and then a little bit more heat. The more the sugar comes up, it starts to sweeten up, maybe like cookie dough. And then the heat continues to be applied to the bean, and the caramelization continues, and the bean gets dark. And if you leave the bean in there for a long time, it's going to come out burnt and bitter. It's going to smell burnt and bitter, and it's going to taste burnt and bitter to you as well.
After gaining a new appreciation for aroma, it's no wonder how Smell Coffee cups can bring out amazing properties of such a complex and delicious beverage.